Coming up, a historic steam locomotive making stops in central and eastern Kentucky has made its final stop. And the African Children's Choir from Uganda came to one Kentucky county performing to raise money for education. Plus, thanks to technology, one Floyd County family is finally able to honor their relative who lost his life in World War II.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:31 on this Monday, July the 29th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning. Brandon Robinson is back on the morning show, and he's ready to break it down. A beautiful day today and then some rain that's going to return to the forecast tomorrow. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning. And yes, you are right, my friend. Unfortunately, the rain came back with me. I still blame Paige. It was beautiful last week when I was filling in for her on the evenings, and now she comes back to town and the rain comes with her. Let's take a look, see what's going on this morning. We have some moisture in the air, but not rain. It's fog. We're looking at dense fog outside the WIMT studios in Hazard this morning and across parts of the Cumberland Valley and Southern Kentucky corridor from less than a mile there in Jonesville to about 7 miles in Monticello. Right there, a big cluster of fog just around the Cumberland Valley area, southern parts of the I-75 corridor. We're looking at temperatures there in the low to mid 60s across the I-75 and Lake Cumberland corridors, Cumberland Valley as well, to the upper 60s, close to 70 across parts of the Kentucky River and the Big Sandy. Across the state, 74 Paducah, Louisville, 70 in Huntington, West Virginia, 65 in Charleston, and 63 in the Tri-Cities. Day planner takes us up to about 86 this afternoon, maybe a touch warmer in some spots. We'll get there probably right around 2 o'clock and hang out there for a little while this afternoon. I'll have the rest of the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Will?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Well, 2 American tourists were arrested in connection with the deadly stabbing of a police officer in Rome. Finnegan Lee Elder and Gabriel Christian Natale North are being detained and are expected to be charged soon. This all started early Friday morning when Italian police say the Americans stole a backpack belonging to an Italian man. In the bag was his cell phone. He called it and the Americans demanded 100 euros and a gram of cocaine to give it back. They set up a meeting where the Italian man tipped off local law enforcement who showed up in plain clothes. That is when the officer was stabbed. Now, police in Hong Kong on Sunday fired tear gas at protesters for the second night in a row in an attempt to drive them from the streets. The demonstrators are demanding the resignation of the territory's leader, direct elections for her replacement, and an investigation into police use of force to quell earlier protests. Hong Kong has had a series of pro-democracy and anti-government rallies and marches this summer, many of which have ended in showdowns between police and protesters. New York City's finest will soon be saving gas while chasing bad guys. The NYPD is among the first in the country to get brand new hybrid cruisers built specifically as police cars. Here's Chris Van Cleve with more.
It sure sounds like your typical police car, and it drives like one too. But this Ford Fusion-based police responder sedan could be a game changer. It's the first true hybrid built specifically to be a police car. Ford estimates it'll save more than 1,500 gallons of fuel per car per year. NYPD Deputy Commissioner Robert Martinez.
We're hoping to phase out all of our purely internal combustion engine vehicles that we have on the road today.
Over the next 5 years, that will reduce emissions and cut fuel costs. Right now, the NYPD spends about $15 million a year on gas for its 10,000 vehicles.
I'll just hold on. Thanks. Glad to help.
Helping us is longtime NYPD driving instructor Detective Paul Casiopo.
You guys drive a car a little bit harder than your average driver.
Absolutely. This is not going to be the standard car that mom and dad would pick up for a grocery getter.
Mom and Dad don't drive like this at the grocery store?
I sure hope not.
Turning the black and white, or in New York City, the blue and white, green, has taken a decade. The NYPD started testing retrofitted civilian hybrids in 2009. They improved fuel economy by 2/3 over a gas-powered cruiser.
Was that even on Ford's radar that people would want a hybrid police car?
No, that was something that kind of me thinking outside the box.
All of our best learnings come from our customers, right?
Stephen Tyler is the marketing manager for Ford's police business. He says the just introduced hybrid police interceptor SUV is faster and more fuel efficient than the gas-powered model it's replacing.
All the tailpipe emissions are reduced because the engine is shutting off for extended periods of time. You got fewer trips to the pump with your officers.
The bulk of its fuel savings come during the 5 hours Ford estimates a police car spends idling during a typical 8-hour shift. The electric motor on the hybrid allows the gas engine to turn off, saving more than 900 gallons a year per cruiser.
They're about $3,500 more than the gas-powered option. The taxpayer is going to hear that and go, is that the best use of the money?
So you spend more up front, but just with fuel savings alone, you'll absorb that additional payout.
The NYPD will get its first hybrid SUVs this fall and plans to buy hundreds of the hybrid responder sedan.
We'll take it slow.
Officer Marcos Rudon is one of the first NYPD officers to drive the new SUV.
Were cops skeptical a hybrid could do everything they needed it to do?
When they hear hybrid, they think Prius. But this is not the case with this car. It
Definitely doesn't drive like a Prius.
definitely. I was skeptical at first too, until I actually got my hands on it, and I was blown away.
Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Brooklyn.
And back here at home, votes are open for annual American Association of State Troopers cruiser competition. West Virginia State Police, Kentucky State Police, and Ohio State Highway Patrol are facing off against each other and the rest of the country to see which state police agency has the best vehicle. The contest began July 15th and will end at 3 p.m. on July 30th, also known as tomorrow. You can find the link to vote on your favorite cruiser on our website at WYMT.com. Now, lots of people are spending this weekend taking advantage of the tax-free weekend in Tennessee. This weekend in Tennessee, school supplies and art supplies $100 or less were all tax-free. Computers $1,500 or less were also tax-free. On Saturday, we told you about a historic steam locomotive making stops in central and eastern Kentucky. Yesterday, the train reached its final destination. Engine 2716 will be rebuilt and on display in Estill County. It reached its final stop at a former CSX facility in Ravenna. Professionals and technical school students will be working to restore the 75-year-old locomotive. Once it's complete, it will be on display for visitors. Well, a special performance yesterday in Anderson County. The African Children's Choir from Uganda came to the Fox Creek Christian Church in Lawrenceburg. One of their missions of the choir is to sponsor education for African children. Their performance includes singing and dancing, but leaders say they're trying to raise awareness.
The children are incredible. They definitely have tremendous potential and truly are the hope of Africa, and that they understand that they are representing their country, that they are representing thousands of other children, and they're providing education for them.
The African Children's Choir sponsors the children's education all the way through high school. A family of 13 is safe this morning following a house fire on Sunday, and it's all thanks to a 5-year-old boy. Firefighters said 7 adults and 6 children were inside the burning home in Chicago. Family members said they were sleeping or unaware of the danger, except for 5-year-old Jaden Espinosa.
If my nephew didn't come and help and woke us up, because everything was off when I got up. The lights was off, no smoke alarms went off, nothing. And when I got up, the first thing he said, wake up, everybody wake up. And if everybody went downstairs, 2 minutes later, the smoke just started coming from, I'm glad everybody got out.
Fortunately, everyone inside managed to get out and watch the firefighters battle the early morning fire while out of harm's way. Firefighters have not yet determined an official cause of the fire. Well, during World War II, people said goodbye to loved ones who were being sent off to fight overseas. But unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were not able to come back home. But thanks to technology, after 75 years, one Floyd County family is able to honor their relative who lost his life so many years ago. WYMT's Lauren McCourt sat down with the daughter of the man who says she never thought this day would come.
Millions of people traveled overseas to fight for our country.
Dad was called into service when I was 8.
But unfortunately, some did not return.
He went overseas and then he never did. In October, he was missing.
And Zelma McDowell never heard from her father, Jacob Givens, again.
It was a year later, after he was missing, he was declared dead.
As years passed, no information came up about her father.
Mother never heard anything.
All that was left were just a few pictures and some memories.
My memory is, it's fading about him.
Until just a few weeks ago, when her daughter got a call from a military personnel asking for Zelma.
I thought, am I hearing right?
Giving her the news that after 75 years, her father's remains were identified.
I can't come up with a word that describes what it's like.
And that he will be returned home to have a proper burial.
He'd come out with something new, and I was like...
After years of only knowing her father was never going to return home,
I never thought it would ever happen.
Being able to finally honor the man who paid the ultimate sacrifice gives her peace. In Floyd County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
Givens' remains will be returned to the family in November, and they are making sure to give him a proper burial. Unlimited movies, that's what one theater chain is offering with a catch or two. We'll have more straight ahead.
A cold front comes this way tomorrow, ramping up those rain chances. After that, we go back to the same old familiar pattern for much of the week. I'll have the full forecast in about 3 minutes.